anger as well of how black people were living. Was that an anger you felt yourself and had lived, because you were only young?
Yeah.
Or was that something you had observed and were learning about?
Both. You know, I felt it growing up. You know, in them years, you learn a lot. You know, once you start paying attention, you know, I guess when you get about 5, 6, 7, you really start to pay attention to the world around you. And yeah, you know, there was a lot of things going on that I didn't understand, and they did make me mad. I was angry about it. What was great was I had an outlet, which was the music, just to first get it outside of your body and then be able to kind of examine it from the outside.
So when you said please, you meant it personally?
Yes.
It was personal?
It was personal, yeah.
I mean, is that story true about how those lyrics ended up in the bin? Because you felt it was too much to say?
No, it wasn't. I didn't feel it was too much to say. Dr. Dre, he was on some kind of work release, so he had to go back and forth to the county jail every weekend. And he didn't want to do the song while he was in that position, because he felt when he go in, the sheriffs would mess with him because of that song. So he said, we're not doing this song. When I first rapped it to him, I went off to school in Phoenix, Arizona, and I was going through my raps with a couple of my friends out there, and I saw it, and I was like, well, we're not gonna do this song, so I balled it up and threw it in the trash. And one of my friends named Phoenix Phil, he went in the trash. He said, nah, this was too good. And he kind of, you know, put it back in my notebook, and so I kept it. And so when we was making Straight Outta Compton, we were thinking of concepts on what was gonna go on the record, and I brought it up again. And at that time, Dre was done with, you know, dealing with that situation, so he was like,
he wasn't afraid
yeah,
anymore.
I'm ready to do it now. It wasn't like he was afraid. He just knew if he did it, it would put him in a vulnerable position when they had him in custody. You know.
Did you feel you were changing the world in those days? Because you were articulating something that was new.
I didn't feel like we was changing the world. I felt like we were showing the world a mirror. You know, if you look into a mirror, you only change if you want to change. If you don't like what you see, then you do something about it. But I didn't, you know, you don't have to. Sometimes you go by a mirror, you look, you might like what you see, and you keep going. So when you think about changing the world, we was just thinking about exposing what we were dealing with, where we were coming from at the time. You know, we're teenagers.
Did you have any sense of how big it would be?
Yes. We were recording a record, and MC Ren looked at me while we were in the studio, and he said, this record is gonna start some. That's what he said. This record is gonna start some. And that's when it kind of dawned on me that, oh yeah, we're about to put this out into the world. Everybody's about to hear this, which is cool. It's right up our alley.
When you think about what you were writing about then, how much do you think has actually changed now?
You know, I don't know how much things have changed. I think, you know, the world is a very beautiful place at times, and a very harsh and ugly place at times. And I don't think that has changed.
So when you think about the police, for a start, what do you think? In comparison to how it was in the 80s?
They haven't changed either. You know, they have a organization, a fraternity, and I believe their philosophy is make it home safe, no matter what. And that's where the crossroads are, because sometimes making it home safe, officers don't mind breaking the law to make it home safe, as long as they win the encounter.
And when you're performing now, do you still feel the anger? You know, people might think, oh, you know, he's going through the motions now, you know,
Well,
he's a rich guy, he's successful.
I was never just thinking about myself making music. You know, I was never just, I'm gonna talk about me, I only talk about me, I'm only worried about me. It's always been about community. It's always been about exposing what's going on to not just, you know, me. It probably don't happen to me as much because of everybody know I'm Ice Cube, but friends, family, loved ones, you know, they still got to deal with it, and I'm their voice. So, yeah, that makes me angry.
I mean, Hollywood's obviously been a huge part of your life as well. I mean, do you have the same approach there?
Yep.
Or I mean, just explain, what's your approach to sort of movies
I'm an
you're
outsider.
doing? And, you know,
I'm not Hollywood. I'm an outsider. I'm not, you know, I didn't go to Juilliard acting school. I started off in music. I was discovered by John Singleton, who saw something in me and wanted to put me in his movie, Boys in the Hood. That movie was very influential on me as far as seeing the movie making process, seeing a guy my age be a director and take control of a set and produce something that he wanted to see on the screen. And I wanted to do the same thing. And he always told me, when are you gonna write a movie? Because you think Hollywood is gonna give you something as good as Boys in the Hood? Hollywood is gonna give you trash. You gotta write your own movies.
and do you see AI as a threat, the
Yes.
way Hollywood's unions seem to?
AI is a threat to everybody.
An existential threat.
It's a threat to everybody. You know, right now it's a threat to, you know, creativity. People are not looking to acquire the knowledge. They're looking to ask, you know, for the knowledge. That's very bad for society. And with acting, you know, AI can take anybody's job in here. Take your job, can take mine, can take his, can take his. Everybody in here can have their job taken by AI.
So is it inevitable then that they will be? I mean, you can't stop it.
Not
can
if
you?
we don't. Yeah, we can. Yeah, that. You know, thinking you can't do something is the beginning of the end. So many people want to cheat and use it and not, you know, just get the money, not acquire the knowledge. You know, we definitely don't want doctors to start thinking like that. You know what I mean? I'm just ask the computer, and they'll tell me how to do this surgery.
So when you think about young people now, people in the position you were in the 80s who want to do something with themselves, want to change their society, do you think it's just as feasible now as it was for you then?
Of course. You can always change your reality. You just got to do what it takes.
And do you think activism is important today in that respect?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you have the passion, if you have the platform, yeah, you should be, you know, as active as you think. You know, I'm not saying everybody should drop what they're doing and go take on the cause, but you know, you should care about what's going on around you and not just worry about yourself, your family, your interests.
Because I wonder what you feel that your big lessons are from your contract with Black America, because you came out with these remarkably radical ideas. Mm-hmm. They were interesting to politicians on all sides. But you kind of wonder, and it was a reaction in that period to the murder of George Floyd, and everybody was saying we've got to change everything, we've got to think about different. When you think about it now, a couple of years on, you know, what happened?
Well, you know, I think the ideas in the contract with Black America are not that radical. You know, I think it's common sense.
No tax for